Welcome back to the SciCast.
Yes, you found us again. We are your humble NPCs for this particular deep dive. I'm Castia.
And I'm Cypher. And, as always, the heavy lifting on the research, getting all this cool material together, that was our producer, Psyguy.
Yeah, couldn't navigate these, treacherous information jungles without him. Definitely not.
Absolutely not. So, a little about your guides today. I'm tuning in from Seattle, firmly in my 40s, still get nostalgic for those 8-bit days. My gaming heart really belongs to classic platformers and those deep strategic RPGs.
And I'm down here in Austin, bit younger 30s, definitely more plugged into modern gaming. You'll probably find me lost in some huge open world adventure or maybe getting way too intense in competitive esports.
But hey, regardless of where we are or what digital worlds we're exploring, we are still here and ready to drop some bombs of knowledge for you.
And please do forgive any weird sound problems you might run into on this transmission. Let's just say the convergence anomaly we're about to discuss. It's been playing a little bit of havoc with our usual setup.
Yes, the anomaly, which is actually like the perfect segue into today's deep dive. Psyguy sent over some absolutely fascinating source material for this one. We are tackling a truly legendary showdown. Pitfall, Harry versus Indiana Jones.
But here's the kicker, the real twist. It's a brutal, completely unarmed encounter, deep in a perilous, fused jungle.
Right. The whole idea behind this analysis was basically stripping away all their iconic gear, Indy's whip and revolver, Harry's slingshots or bombs from later games, and just seeing who comes out on top.
Yeah.
Purely based on inherent skills, raw physical ability, and deep jungle instinct.
So our mission today is to unpack all this source material Psyguy gave us, pull out the most important insights, and really figure out who would emerge victorious when everything's stripped away. Nothing but their bare hands and their wits. It's definitely a unique premise. Really pushes these icons way outside their comfort zone.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Let's dive in.
Okay, so let's unpack this. The analysis kicks off with this really cool concept.
Right, the setup for the whole thing.
Exactly. This wild narrative device they're calling the convergence anomaly. So picture this. Both Harry and Indy are off in their separate realities, right? And they're both chasing these super potent, maybe reality-distorting artifacts. Harry could be, deep inside some Mayan temple.
And Indy may be scrambling through the Amazon somewhere remote. Classic stuff for both of them.
Totally. And then, simultaneously, just as they're getting close to whatever they're after, bam! This massive surge of energy, the anomaly, just rips through reality. It violently merges parts of their worlds,
creating this single, chaotic, hybrid jungle environment. Messy.
Super messy. And here's the crucial part. This energy surge also generates some kind of field that just nullifies complex tools and inorganic weapons. Poof.
So Indy's famous bullwhip and his trusty revolver, completely inert, useless.
And any gadgets Harry might have picked up in his later adventures, like slings or bombs or whatever, also useless. Gone.
Wow. So they're just thrown into this brand new, totally alien, hostile jungle, completely disoriented.
And their original goal, finding those artifacts, instantly irrelevant. It becomes all about immediate survival. Just figuring out how to stay alive and maybe find a way out of this nightmare landscape.
It's really interesting there is a psychological impact the material points out. It's not just losing their gear. It's like profound stress right from the get-go. Their actual worlds have broken.
Yeah, literally broken and smashed together into something unknown and incredibly dangerous. That's got to mess with your head.
For sure. I mean, Indy's faced impossible stuff, supernatural things, but usually there's some kind of context, right? A villain, a plan. Harry navigates weird, hazard-filled game worlds, but this is sudden, violent, real change.
Exactly. The material suggested, and I think this makes sense, that whoever regains their mental footing fastest just deals with the sheer weirdness of it all. They might actually get a subtle edge even before they, meet each other.
Resourcefulness isn't just about using tools. It's about coping mentally first. Adapting to this specific, bizarre reality is step one.
Absolutely. The environment isn't just a setting. It's a direct result of the thing that took their gear and scrambled their realities. Adapting is everything.
Okay. So before we get them throwing punches, we need the tail of the tape, right? Who are these guys? Stripped down to their core. Let's start with Pitfall Harry, the pixelated pathfinder. What's the analysis say about his basic skills?
Well, Harry is absolutely defined by agility and speed. Especially thinking back to his 8-bit origins. We're talking precise jumps, dodging those rolling logs, climbing vines, swinging across chasms. That's his bread and butter.
Oh, yeah. And the original game even let you tweak his jump midair, remember? that kind of pinpoint control. Later 3D games really made him look springy like a rubber band, quick dashes, fluid moves,
Right.
jumping, climbing, ledge navigation, fundamental Harry.
And he can swim, too, which is important in jungle settings, navigating swamps, croc-infested waters. Now, unarmed stuff.
Yeah.
The original was pure evasion, right?
Yeah, just run and jump.
But later games, like The Lost Expedition, actually gave him some basic combat moves. Punches, sweep kicks, even these aerial spin kicks used to break stuff. Plus a combat roll for dodging.
So he wasn't just running anymore. He could actually, push back a bit if cornered. And his resilience.
Yeah.
Man, surviving those falls, even if it cost you points. Escaping quicksand, tar pits.
Yeah.
But the craziest one the material brought up, the crocodile escape.
Oh, yeah, that's wild. The analysis specifically flagged that feat from Lost Expedition, and maybe an earlier 3D one, too, where if a croc swallows him whole...
He can wiggle back and forth and literally jump out of its jaws.
Out of its jaws.
After being swallowed.
Yeah.
That's some bonkers close-quarter strength and pure stubborn tenacity right there.
Yeah.
Like video game logic made flesh, almost.
It really is something else. And the source material noted that the original game's 3 lives mechanic, you could kind of interpret that narratively as him having this incredibly high baseline endurance. Gets knocked down, bounces right back.
Makes sense. And then there's his jungle acumen. Decades of experience navigating treacherous game environments.
Right.
What was it, 255 scenes in the original Pitfall?
Something like that, yeah. Constant pattern recognition, mastering vine-swinging timing, and crucially, reading those environmental patterns like the rhythmic opening and closing of crocodile jaws. That's deep knowledge of how that specific game world works.
His resourcefulness, too, comes through in gameplay. Navigating complex maze-like worlds, finding hidden tunnels. It was all about problem-solving through movement and finding the right path. Later games had him solving actual environmental puzzles, too.
Right. Okay. Quick trivia break on Harry from the research pile. He's one of the earliest video game mascots, ever. His creator, David Crane, actually tried to do the Tarzan yell himself for the sound effect.
Really?
Yeah. And Pitfall is often called the first true platformer. Oh, get this. A 13-year-old Jack Black was in a TV commercial for it way back in 1982.
No way. Jack Black. That's amazing. What a pedigree. Okay, so Harry's fast, resilient in weird ways, knows patterns. Now let's shift gears. Indiana Jones.
Indy, the tenacious archaeologist. A very different beast.
Definitely less springy, more dusty.
Huh. Yeah, Dusty works. His physical prowess isn't about that light-footed agility. It's raw, visceral strength. Pushing massive stone blocks, lifting sarcophagus lids they said were heavy as lead.
Overpowering multiple guys in a brawl, yeah. And kicking that truck door clean off its hinges in Raiders, that's pure power.
Exactly. The material calls his fighting style Depression-era brawling. It's not elegant. It's powerful haymakers, grappling, using his weight. It's effective, brutal street fighting, basically.
And he's fought everyone. Nazis, thuggy, cultists, assassins, mercenaries, experienced against thinking, deadly human opponents. And while he's not Harry-level agile, he's definitely not clumsy. He can dive, leap, move surprisingly fast when he needs to escape a trap or close the distance.
His unarmed style comes from basic boxing and wrestling, sure, but the analysis really highlights his improvisation. Using the environment is key. Even if the anomaly limits what he can use, the mindset is still there.
And fighting dirty. Throwing sand, cheap shots if needed. It's that interesting mix, isn't it? The academic scholar who's also this incredibly pragmatic, almost brutal brawler.
Yeah, his intellect seems to feed into his opportunism. He assesses threats fast and just uses whatever works, no rules.
And then there's his resilience and pain tolerance. This is like the defining Indy trait.
Oh, absolutely. It's legendary. The guy's been shot, stabbed, poisoned, beaten senseless, thrown from moving vehicles, and he just keeps going.
Gets knocked out all the time, sure, but he wakes up quick and gets right back in it. His threshold for pain is just astronomical.
He absorbs punishment that would kill most people. And his jungle acumen, that comes from real-world experience. Peru, India, the Amazon, navigating actual dense, unpredictable terrain.
Facing real threats, too. Tarantulas, snakes, even though he hates them. Hostile tribes like the Jovitos, deadly booby traps. He knows how to move through real jungles.
And his resourcefulness, right alongside resilience, that's his ace in the hole. Thinking on his feet, adapting instantly to chaos, using the surroundings for diversions, traps, escapes. His knowledge base suggests this analytical mind that stays sharp, even under extreme pressure.
Okay, Indy trivia time. The name Indiana, from George Lucas's dog, an Alaskan Malamute.
Ah, classic Lucas.
The snake fear. Came from falling into a crate of them on a circus train as a kid. Ouch. And that line, "It's not the years, honey, it's the mileage."
Yeah.
Harrison Ford ad-libbed that in Last Crusade.
Nice. Love that line. And he served in WWI intelligence, apparently. Plus those names from the films. Belloc, Satipo. How did you say that one?
The Takipo.
Huh?
And Jovitos, Molaram. Got to get those right.
Got it. Okay, so let's quickly compare them based on the sources breakdown. Harry, superior agility, raw speed. No contest there.
Indy. Clear advantage in raw strengths. Brute force. Pushing power, hitting power.
Both have crazy high endurance, but it's different, right? Harry's is like, game mechanic resilience, survive hazards, maybe reset. Indy's is narrative resilience, survive insane physical trauma, push through pain.
Which leads to Indy's legendary pain tolerance versus Harry's resilience to specific game hazards. Though that croc escape, that shows some surprising grit and strength from Harry in a tight spot.
True. But absorbing punch after punch, blunt force trauma, Indy's just built different in that regard.
And Indy is way more experienced as an unarmed brawler against smart, dangerous humans. Harry mostly fights patterns and creatures.
Harry masters patterned environments, acrobatic movement. Indy adapts to messy, real-world places and uses them offensively in fights when he can. Both are resourceful, but Indy's feels more dynamic, improvisational, especially under combat pressure.
Yeah, the analysis pointed out they both use the environment just differently. Harry with timing and patterns, Indy with reactive force and improvisation. That environmental factor is going to be huge here.
And speaking of the environment,
Yeah.
the arena itself, it's not just any jungle. It's this fused, perilous nightmare created by the anomaly.
Oh, yeah. Oppressive heat, crushing humidity, sudden downpours, just draining from minute one. Treacherous ground-tangled roots, vines everywhere, thick undergrowth, unstable riverbanks. Just moving is a struggle.
Water dangers galore, sluggish rivers, those classic pitfall quicksand pits, tar pits, swamps, flash flood risks.
And the wildlife.
Yeah.
The deadly menagerie. A mix from both worlds.
Oh.
From Harry's side, rolling logs coming out of nowhere, giant scorpions, cobra rattlers, maybe nastier now. Those rhythmic jaw crocodiles, but maybe with Indy-level strength too. And piranhas.
Woo. And from Indy's world, giant tarantulas, huge anacondas, those super deadly poison dart frogs.
Don't touch the frogs.
Definitely don't touch the frogs. Agonizing bullet ants, maybe jaguars or other big cats stalking them. Plus maybe echoes of hostile tribes like the Jovitos or Mayan traps and ruined structures scattered around.
Just constant biting insects, aggressive monkeys, maybe electric eels, threats from every angle.
Plus pure environmental hazards. Hidden pits like Harry's used to, crumbling ruins, cliffs, maybe unstable geothermal spots with steam vents, thorny vines, poisonous plants, unstable deadfall, the cannonball tree dropping heavy fruit.
It's just relentless danger. And the sheer density makes getting your bearings impossible. Landmarks are confusing, mashups are just gone. The material really stressed this jungle as an active enemy. Throws novel threats at you constantly.
Yeah, knowing your own jungle helps a bit, but this place is new to both of them. Rapid threat assessment, improvisation, that's what matters here.
And the psychological pressure. The heat, the noise, the constant fear, sensory overload. One slip-up, one moment of lost focus because you're exhausted or stressed, and bam, something gets you, even without the other guy involved.
And that density, it could really limit Harry's usual open field evasion, couldn't it? Maybe funnel them towards closer quarters, which definitely plays more to Indy's brawling strength.
Okay, scene set. Combatants known. Arena, brutal. How does this unarmed fight actually go down based on the source material's probable scenario?
Right. Phase 1. Meeting and assessment. They're both lost, confused, trying to figure out this bizarre jungle. Moving cautiously. Then, maybe they hear something, see tracks. Realize there's another person here. The analysis suggests a sudden, close encounter. Stumble around a thicket, blind corner. No time for introductions. Instant wariness.
You picture Indy dropping into that low, ready brawler stance, eyes narrowed, assessing the threat immediately. Harry's probably lighter on his feet, already scanning for escape routes, maybe a vine overhead, judging distances. Indy thinks human threat. Harry thinks environmental hazard, maybe initially.
Phase 2. Agility versus power. Harry's first instinct. Use that speed. Create distance. Evade. Maybe try to lure Indy towards a classic pitfall trap he recognizes, a hidden pit, quicksand. He might throw out those quick kicks or punches from the later games, just probing, testing reactions, keeping Indy back.
Indy's not going to play that game, though. He's not going to chase Harry around like a fool. He wants to cut off the angles, hurt him, corner him, force the clinch where his strength matters. He'll just bulldoze through minor stuff that might slow Harry down. He's patient, waiting for that opening to grab hold or land one solid hit.
And they're both using the environment constantly here. Harry's swinging on vines, leaping between unstable platforms, maybe even trying to use the timing of those croc jaws somehow. Indy's trying to turn the jungle against Harry kicking a loose rock down a slope, trying to push him into thorny bushes or onto shaky ground.
Okay, phase 3, the clinch and struggle. It probably happens eventually, right? Indy persists, or Harry slips up, or the terrain forces them together. Indy closes the distance. Now it's his game. Strength, brawling, throws, close-in strikes, trying to just overpower Harry.
But Harry's not helpless. He uses that springiness, that combat role, maybe even that surprising struggle strength from the croc escape, just fighting desperately to break free, lessen the impact. He might land those quicker, less powerful hit spin kicks, maybe just to create space. Stun Indy for a second.
And this becomes a real contest of attrition. Indy's insane pain tolerance absorbing Harry's lighter hits versus Harry's endurance trying to evade Indy's heavy blows indefinitely. Can Harry keep dodging? Can Indy land enough punishment?
And don't forget the jungle. It doesn't stop just because they're fighting. A random scorpion wanders into the mix. They stumble onto a nest of bullet ants, agony, maybe paralysis. A jaguar smells blood. These interruptions could completely change the fight, create openings, or end it for one of them right there.
Brutal. Okay, phase 4. Turning point and desperation. Something gives. Someone makes a mistake. Fatigue, distraction, a successful tactic. If Indy corners Harry and starts landing those heavy shots, that's the real test.
Yeah.
How does Harry's video game resilience stand up to actual severe physical trauma? Breaking bones, internal bleeding.
Or the flip side. Harry successfully baits Indy into a classic trap he knows perfectly. Quicksand. A rolling log timed just right. That could be game over for Indy right there. Major advantage shift. And the mental game ramps up. Indy's sheer grit versus Harry's never-give-up pixelated determination. Who breaks first under this insane pressure?
Desperation moves too, maybe.
Right.
Grabbing a rock, a broken branch. But the anomaly rules might make those useless, right? Still forcing them back to pure hands and wits combat.
Exactly. Reinforces the core premise. It stays unarmed.
Phase 5. Climax and resolution. One guy gets the upper hand definitively. Maybe cumulative damage finally takes its toll. Maybe a brilliant environmental play works perfectly. Maybe one falls victim to a jungle hazard while they're grappling. The analysis boils it down to stamina versus damage threshold.
Can Harry evade long enough to wear Indy down or trap him? Or can Indy land enough powerful blows to overwhelm Harry's ability to recover or escape? The specific terrain right there matters hugely. Tight spaces favor Indy, open, hazard-filled areas favor Harry.
And that difference in finishing someone. Indy incapacitates humans. Harry usually just bypasses or temporarily disables game enemies. Who can actually end this fight, decisively unarmed?
The sheer chaos probably favors the no-rules brawler, Indy. But Harry's opportunism with traps is still a massive factor. The winner isn't necessarily better overall, just more effective in this specific, brutal, unpredictable survival scrap.
Okay, the analysis is done, the scenario's played out, the moment of truth. Based on Psyguy's source material, all the nuances considered, who wins this thing? Pitfall, Harry versus Indiana Jones, unarmed in the Nightmare Jungle.
All right, let's recap the keys. Harry, incredible agility, pattern mastery, unique resilience. Indy, superior raw strength, massive pain tolerance, brutal brawling skill, dynamic improvisation.
The unarmed rule changes everything. Focuses on raw ability, environmental use. Indy's experience fighting lethal humans is a huge edge in direct combat over Harry's pattern creature focus.
And Indy's ability to take punishment. Just soak up physical trauma. It's legendary. Harry's resilience is different, more about specific hazards or game mechanics. In a slugfest, Indy's ability to just endure hits is probably his biggest advantage. He can afford to take some hits to land his own.
Environmental use is key for both, yeah.
Yeah.
But Indy's dynamic, offensive improvisation seems better suited to this unpredictable, fused jungle than Harry's pattern-based approach.
Yeah.
And Indy has that killer instinct. He knows how to put a human opponent down for the count.
So putting it all together, the predicted outcome, based strictly on the analysis and the source material, it leans pretty strongly towards Indiana Jones.
The likely victor. Yeah, that feels right based on the breakdown.
Yeah.
While Harry's speed and agility, and especially his knowledge of those specific pitfall traps, would make it incredibly hard to catch. He could absolutely lead Indy into big trouble.
But ultimately, Indy's combination of raw strength, his brutal brawling experience, his likely weight advantage, and crucially, that insane resilience and pain tolerance that probably allows him to absorb whatever Harry throws out, keep pressing forward, and eventually corner Harry where his strength becomes overwhelming.
Indy's just fundamentally built for these grinding, attritional, close-quarters fights. You got to take hits to land hits, and he can take more than almost anyone. And chaotic, unpredictable, fused jungle, that probably favors Indy's knack for improvisation over Harry's pattern mastery, too.
And the material really emphasized this. Harry's not going down easy, not at all. His speed, agility, and mastery of those specific pitfall hazards, that's a massive threat. If the terrain really favored Harry's style, lots of vines, platforms, classic traps Indy wouldn't see coming. Harry could definitely prolong the fight, wear Indy down, maybe even score a win with a perfectly timed environmental hazard.
So it ultimately comes down to raw survivability, adaptability to the unknown, and inflicting decisive harm unarmed. And in that specific contest, Indy's toughness, brawling experience, and improvisational skills seem to give him the edge.
And there was that final interesting point about their origins, right? Indy's film hero toughness, that kind of narrative plot armor, lets him survive seemingly impossible things. Harry's resilience is often tied more directly to game mechanics, lives, resets. If you strip that away and look at just absorbing physical blows.
Indy's baseline for taking punishment just seems higher based on what we see him endure. Plus, Indy fights smart, ruthless humans trying to kill him. Harry fights patterns. Facing Indy is a whole different level of threat for Harry, while Indy's basically in his element with a dangerous human opponent.
Phew. Fascinating stuff. Pitfall, Harry versus Indiana Jones, stripped down bare knuckle in a jungle gone mad. A real clash of icons.
A proper deep dive for sure.
Seriously, big thanks to Guy for digging up this incredible source material and research. That was a wild scenario to explore.
It really, really was.
And to you, listening in.
Remember, you're awesome. Never let the world tell you otherwise. Stay safe. Stay sane.